Welcome to Live United. My name is Chris Coates, and I am the Director of Community Services for Monadnock Developmental Services. Monadnock Developmental Services is today's focus. Monadnock Developmental Services provides supports and services to nearly 1,100 individuals with developmental disabilities and their families, more than 600 families here in Monadnock region. These disabilities include cerebral palsy, intellectual disabilities, autism, epilepsy, and also acquired brain trauma. The people we serve are among the most vulnerable in our communities. At Monadnock Developmental Services, better known as MDS, we make it possible for those we serve to be able to live and work in their communities, to get appropriate health care, and to be out in the community rather than be secluded or isolated at home. We help folks find appropriate living situations with families and roommates, sometimes even alone if possible. We help them find and keep jobs, and we help them make their days more meaningful through community connections. Our guiding words are inclusion, participation, and mutual relationship. Joining me in the first segment is Stephanie Fields, Partners in Health Coordinator, and Jana O'Brien, Respite Coordinator.
Yes.
So why don't we start with Partners in Health? What is Partners in Health?
Well, Partners in Health is a community-based program that works with families that have children that have chronic health issues, conditions. We work with the different areas in the community and work with the schools, we work with physicians, we work with the churches, several different organizations that we may work with the families. Each family has their own needs and each family is unique. So we would sit down with the family to find out exactly what their needs are and how we can help them and get their resources and networking within the community also.
Okay. Who can receive the services?
Well, it goes from birth to 21 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
It does require that you have a health condition, a chronic health condition, that is certified by a doctor, that's going to last 6 months or longer, and that will affect your daily life and activities.
Can you talk a little bit more what chronic health issue is?
Well, some of the chronic health issues for the children that we've had could be diabetes, it could be a child with cancer, a family that may be dealing with it's a child that might have MD. There's several different variations of the chronic health issues, so it really depends upon what they have and the criteria that they will be able to meet.
What's your role?
My role, I'm the family support coordinator, and what I do is usually a family is referred to me, and then I would contact that family, would sit down and discuss what the health condition is, the family's needs, and the child's needs. And then we would start getting the application together and getting the verification from the doctor. And once we have that all in place, we can start helping them set their needs and help them with goals. Every family is unique and different. So, you know, it could be that they need some networking out in the community, a support group, more education about the health issue their child has. It varies from family to family.
Are you part of the Children's Services for Monadnock Developmental Services, or is Partner Health separate?
Well, I'm housed in the Children's Department, but it is separate from the actual Children's Department at MDS.
And does anyone, between the two of you, do you know the history of how it became, how it evolved?
From,
I mean, why did it come into existence?
I do. When the need arose, it was modeled after the area agency children's department. It became apparent that there was really nothing available to families who had children with a chronic health condition that did not qualify or have an intellectual disability, but they were also finding the same type of challenges in terms of you know, needing resources oftentimes when a child was diagnosed. You know, one parent might not be able to work for a period of time. It just really, really puts a challenge on the family life. So the program was modeled after the area agencies, specifically for that. So a lot of the regions are within the area agency, and that really works well because they have a team that they can all work together and help each other in. Some of the regions for the Partners in Health are also located in other agencies. But it was designed to be modeled after the area agency model.
Okay. And I know you touched on it a little bit, but could you also, again, say how can you help these families?
Well, as I said, every family is different, but I can give you some examples. There may be one family that is looking to update the child's equipment, whether they need a new wheelchair, whether they might need a telephone that they can actually read instead of listen to. I may do the research and find the product, be able to help funding for them, whether it's assisting in funding, I'll call the companies to get a discount, or look for grants and help them apply for grants and write grants for them to get the funding. Some of the families that I might help with is more of the networking and getting them to conferences and more educated in the field of wherever their child may have their illness. Some of it is providing help with families so they can get their children to appointments up in Lebanon and into Boston, coordinating rides. Every family is so unique and different. It depends, and things change throughout the year when situations come up. I've assisted in some assisted technology. So it varies, family to family. And every year we meet and we go over new goals and see if they met old goals and what their needs may be for the year. The other part that we help in is respite, which is a little bit different than what Janet will do, which she'll talk about in just a minute. This respite is actually funded through a grant through United Way, and then their generous amount of money they give us, I can provide respite opportunities for families in the Partners in Health. And that respite is really there to improve their quality of life, to hopefully alleviate some stress. It could be used because, it keeps the parent working. It could be used to provide care while they're bringing their child to the specialist. It can be used so they can have a night out and recoup. So there's various different things and services that I can provide. And if I can't, the beauty about being in the children's department and housed there is that I have all these other wonderful colleagues I can go to and ask, and they can direct me, and I can find other ways to help the families and get them to the right sources.
Do you have any relationship with the schools?
I do. That's another part of the services that I provide. I do help with the IEP meetings and 504 meetings. I work the school nurses. They are a source of referrals to the Partners in Health. We've had been working with one of the nurses at Keene Middle School to find mentoring for children that have diabetes for the younger kids, if they're going to mentor the younger kids in elementary school, the kids in the middle school. So there's a lot of different areas that we can work with, but we do the 504s, the IEPs, working with the school nurses. So.
Okay. Let's move on to respite. First and foremost, what is respite?
Sure. So respite is a program within MDS to help families get a break when needed. So for a lot of the families, it can become very overwhelming, and we don't want families to get sick or feel like they can no longer care for their family member that is has an intellectual disability or medical needs, and so we provide respite, and that happens when someone is enrolled in the area agency. They are assigned a service coordinator, and the service coordinator will then evaluate many needs that the family may have, and they spend an amount of time similar to what Stephanie does with Partners in Health, finding out what their needs are and setting goals with them and so forth. And if they feel there's a need for respite, and then they would be referred to me in terms of allocating respite quarterly for a family. And that some of the questions that would be asked in order to evaluate whether there is a need is, do they have natural supports in the area? People, grandparents, people who will care for their child so that they do get a break. Things like, is there something going on right now within the family that is a stressor that maybe they really need a break because maybe somebody's lost a job or someone has a new diagnosis or something like that. So all those things are taken into account to determine whether a respite respite is needed at that time. And it's fluid, it's evaluated quarterly to make sure that we're meeting the needs as best we can for families.
So when you talk about natural settings, so you could actually have a grandparent or a brother or a sister, you know, take care of a situation and be paid for that too?
We encourage natural supports to be utilized that would be non-paid first. In other words, for most families, grandparents take their grandchildren, and that, and then they're not paid for that. And some people have nobody in the area that's a natural support, though they would need respite because they don't have that available. There are instances that we have allowed family members to be paid if maybe they can't have a job in order to do this, or different circumstances, but the natural supports we would like utilized first.
Is there a higher level of stress within the family if respite isn't given? I mean, I think sometimes people forget that most of the time these are children that may not have the friendships, may not be able to go to out to a friend's house. This is a 24/7 situation. I mean, is that not true? Or?
Absolutely, and that's one of the benefits and most valuable pieces of respite is when we have providers come in that are out in the community, people that are connected out in the community. They can take those children out into the community and make new friendships, and that's part of what is the beauty of the respite program. They can, it can be done in the home if that's the need, if, parents are going to get out for a night or something like that. But oftentimes it's out in the community, maybe going to the bowling alley or on a hike. Lots of, now that the beautiful weather's here, a lot of the providers that will take the kids to the park, or to get them to socialize and out in the community where they're going to live and they're going to hopefully someday work and relax, and all the things that we all enjoy doing.
How is respite funded?
Yeah, respite is funded partly through Medicaid, and then we are very fortunate to get a grant from the Cheshire County, which is so valuable. We have about 200 individuals that have a respite allocation, and we do have a waiting list, and again, we look at that and evaluate and try to get as many people as we can an allocation to give them a needed break.
Aside from if you have a wait list, what are some of the other challenges that you face?
It would be funding, and the other big challenge is providers. We're always looking for and hoping to get more providers within the program that can, we would love to see more young men. They're role models, they're mentors, and it would be, if anybody does have an interest, we would love to get a call and I could explain the process. It's flexible hours, it's a great way to be out in the community, meet wonderful families.
But if they were interested to become in becoming a respite provider, what would they do? They would contact me at MDS, and my extension there is 255. The number is 352-1304 and extension 255. And even if they just call the main number and ask for the respite coordinator, the call would get to me, and I'd be happy to explain the process. We have needs throughout the Monadnock region, so outlying areas are always a need. Jaffrey, Rindge, Peterborough area, and Hinsdale and Winchester. So we try to match providers with kids that they have similar interests. And for example, I mentioned the hiking, or what they like to go to the library, things like that, so that it's a good match for everybody. And again, flexible hours. So it's a nice way to supplement your income if you're interested. Okay. Jumping back to you for a second, same thing. They can contact you if they were interested to stepping into somebody's life and helping in Partners in Health?
We do provide it that way also. Our respite's a little bit different than what Janet does. We do have individuals that will come that's outside the family, but there are sometimes the natural family supports, and the families get to hire who they would like for respite, since they have the different needs, and especially depending upon the chronic health issue that the child has. So it is a little different. I think it's a little freer, I would say. Wouldn't you say? A little freer in terms of how we can do that, but they can contact me. It'd be something that we would also discuss as their needs for the year when we set our goals every single year. And it changes, so sometimes we can add it throughout the year also.
Okay.
So, and for the respite through the Children's Department that I support, we do have some adults also that live with their family that receive respite, but it's primarily children. But we also, it can be, families can choose the people they would like as well, and that often works well. Sometimes there's somebody at the school that works really well with a child, and they would like to do hours, a few hours a week or something like that, and that works out. And then we also have people that are on staff at MDS that are respite providers that we, that are paid directly through MDS. So it can be done either way, whichever way works best for a family.
Does someone have to have a criminal check done, a driving check done? Are they employees of Monadnock Developmental Services, or are they just? How does that go?
All that would be done if someone was being paid by MDS to provide the respite. So yes, there'd be the driving check, the criminal check, the BEAS check, and that would all have to come back as good, and then they could come on staff, and then that way they would turn a timesheet into us and we pay them directly.
Mm-hmm.
But we also allow, if families have people that they feel really comfortable with, whether that's a neighbor in the neighborhood, or again, oftentimes we have people at schools who are interested in providing that respite, and that can be done directly through the family if that works best for them.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here today and discussing Partners in Health and the respite program through Monadnock Developmental Services. And if you are interested, again, contact Monadnock Developmental Services at 352-1304 and ask for either Stephanie Fields, which is Partners in Health, or Janet O'Brien for respite. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be with the high purpose to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all. We approach this problem of reemployment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
And we're back, and I wanted to welcome into the studio now Beth Stout and Allison Scalia to talk about dental care and also a race that's going to be coming up. So why don't we first talk about the challenges of dental care?
Sure. One of the things that I don't know how well known it is that Medicaid, which a lot of our individuals receive, their dental care through the state ends at age 18, and a lot of our adults that receive services, they don't have any funds that would require them to help pay for their ongoing dental needs. Preventative care, but also if something large comes up, like if they have a filling or a crown or they need dentures or anything like that, MDS has supported individuals in the past with ongoing, we have a dental fund that we have identified through federal and state monies that we get, the flexibility of this funding that we have sort of accumulated with our GM it is, just going on. This has been something that we've been able to do to help this ongoing need with preventative care and such. And with the recent cuts federally and statewide with Medicaid funds, this is not something that we're really able to help with as much as we have in the past with, I don't know, I would say it's like tens of thousands of dollars we've spent over the years on people's dental care. And it's a need out there. We've been working on some preventative things that Beth will probably talk about in a little bit, but the need is great. And as I said, we have individuals that they can't take care of the preventative care and their funds are very limited.
So I just want to go back to it for a second, though.
Yeah.
So your main point, though, is that unless it's an emergency situation, dental care goes away.
Yes.
And Monadnock Developmental Services has continued over the years to support that as best they could, but because of cutbacks,
Yes.
and that they're looking at what they can and cannot do to meet that need. But so it's shocking to me that you can have health care, but the teeth aren't important unless it's a crisis.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and that's the thing, as I said, for children up until 18, if they have Medicaid, their dental needs may be covered. But once they turn 18, their dental needs aren't. The only thing that Medicaid pays for is extractions. So it's not often that somebody needs an extraction to a healthy tooth. But if they get to a point where their mouth is really deteriorated, Medicaid will pay for the extraction, but they won't pay for the cleanings, they won't pay for the fluoride, they won't pay for all those things that people go regularly to the dentist every 6 months to get.
Do you work with families to really make them aware and also really promote preventative maintenance
Yes.
as best they can?
Yes, as part of our service coordination department, one of the things that service coordinators ask regularly is that they have, how often are they going to see the dentist? Do they have the dentist? How often, are their dental needs? What are they brushing? What are they flossing? So we are all the time asking the individuals that we support through service coordination, what are they doing for their preventative care? And a lot of it sometimes is the dentist piece, where they just don't have the funds to, since they don't have dental insurance, they don't have the funds to pick up the hundreds of dollars. I mean, a typical cleaning is like $150, $170. And for somebody that's on really limited income, that can be really hard to come up with.
Do you see a lot of individuals or some individuals that end up losing their teeth, and then there's a bigger expense there because then they have to have some replacement of some sort for their teeth?
Absolutely, yeah. We have a number of people. I think of one individual who just came through. She hadn't been to the dentist in a number of years because she actually requires sedation to have her dental needs met, because it's just such a stressful situation for her. And because of her disabilities, it's just very hard to have her seen in a regular dentist office. So she hadn't seen a dentist in a while, per the preference of her guardian at the time, and the bill that she came up with after all of that was $4,000 or $5,000 just to have her teeth scaled back and to have cavities filled and things like that. So it can really get to a point where somebody has their, they have to have extractions and then they require dentures, and that's an expense.
When you do have a dental situation, is it hard to find a dentist, one, that will do sedation, and two, that will take Medicaid?
Yes. There are many offices that don't do sedation actually in their office at all. We do have a regular list of dentists that we work with, but it is definitely a smaller list with those that do sedation. And there are dentists that don't take individuals that have Medicaid. And that's a really key piece, since that is the piece that the state pays for. So we want to make sure that the office takes Medicaid if they do need an extraction.
A few years back, agencies came together to actually help start up a dentist practice. Am I right in saying that? And they've been able to utilize, on occasion, that individual, you know.
Are you thinking about Dental Health Works?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, years ago, MDS set up a program with Dental Health Works where we have a regular slot, and I believe we have about 24 individuals as part of this program, and they actually give a discount for regular cleanings and stuff like that for individuals, and we have this regular slot every week throughout the year, and so it allows us to get regular cleanings done for individuals as part of this program. So, I mean, we would love to have more dentists do a program like that, and I know that Beth has done a little bit of work in trying to identify other areas in the community that maybe we could set up something similar.
What's the cost to MDS in a year in the past, an average?
An average cost
Yeah.
of what our dental fund may spend?
You're right.
I would say on average we spend about $25,000, give or
Okay.
take. And I can't tell you offhand how many individuals that serves. We have some people that come to get assistance with just the regular cleanings, $150 bill. Our expectation is that everybody pays a portion of their dental fund, their dental needs. But as I said before, a lot of people can't pay the full amount. And if they're coming because they need dentures, or they need a crown, or they have a number of fillings, that can be really expensive.
Now, people, I'm guessing it's the Development Committee and others have come together to develop this race. It's called the Run, Walk, Smile 5K 1 mile race. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It's May 30th, and we're looking at promoting health and wellness while also doing fundraising for dental, as dental is a huge need, as Allison just pointed out. So we're looking at bringing together the community, not just MDS, but the community at large, to help promote, dental deficits. And we're hoping people will come out and run, walk, smile. We're looking for volunteers. We're looking for people who just want to contribute. The 1 mile begins at 8:30. The 5K begins at 9. We're having festivities. We're having raffles. Should be a lot of fun. And we've worked really hard at trying to promote health and wellness throughout the year, so we want to bring together what we've done on this day.
Just because I've been promoting other races, and I'm always asked this question, what kind of course?
Fast and flat.
Fast and flat is
Yeah.
always important to somebody like myself. So that's great. So again, talk about check-in times, talk about costs.
Cost is $25 for the 5K. 12 and under is $15, and then the 1 mile is $15. And 2 days before the race, it's $5 surcharge. If you're looking for a T-shirt, we're Wednesday the 13th will be the cutoff for getting a T-shirt. We might sell them on race day, but the T-shirts are going to be spectacular.
And that's always, for a race, that's always an important
It
thing.
is.
People really like that, and have sponsors lined up?
We do. We have our big sponsors, Savings Bank of Walpole, and our whole community has come out. We have a ton of sponsors. It's nice because it's right in our backyard. It's right at MDS, at the bike path. It's in our home community, and our Main Street has come out and supported us. It's going to be a bang-up day.
So one other thing I want to add in here, you can run, walk, or roll. So anybody can participate. And if somebody doesn't have the time or to be down there that day, can they make a contribution?
Absolutely. You can go to our website. You can contribute that way. You can contribute and maybe sponsor someone who's not able to provide the $25 themselves. If they would like to provide a raffle prize, they can go to our website. They can contact me, Beth at MDS, or Karen Peterson at MDS. We're happy for any kind of help that anybody would want to share. They can come, look for volunteerism. We just want our community to be happy and healthy and to come together. It's something to be proud of for dental health as well as overall health. I think dental health is the primary for keeping people healthy.
The day of the race, where are people meeting?
We're meeting at MDS at
Which is
7:30.
121 Railroad Street
Correct.
here in Keene.
At 7:30, registration begins. You can register day of, but we're also doing pre-registered packets the night before from 4 to 7 in the downstairs area of MDS, 121 Railroad Street.
Has it been a good response so far?
So far, it has.
Well, then get in. Everybody should get in on it and sign up now. One, for the T-shirt, because if Beth says it's going to be something great, it will be something great.
something.
It is.
But two, and more importantly, it goes towards such a great cause. It allows people to continue to have real self-esteem and self-worth about who they are because they're being able to have the dental care they need.
And we're doing a running group on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and we've had nice success with that. And we've had people do goals in their service agreements to promote their own and sort of take control of their own health and wellness, which is sort of the catalyst for their own dental health, is when you're taking care and taking ownership over yourself, you then will change who you are and how you see yourself. And I think that having the running group has made people see that they're capable of being runners. And it's been fantastic. It's been a year-long process, and we're coming to the end in 3 weeks, and we're all very excited.
A healthy lifestyle creates not just better, it's not going to help not just the dental care, but it's a whole. It can help the meds, cholesterol. I mean, you name. There's so many levels that it can help.
That's true.
And we've seen that also with the InShape program through Monadnock Family Services. Some of the things they've done there. So it's great that you have a group of people that are coming together, individuals that actually utilize the services at Monadnock Developmental Services and are bettering themselves and helping in the long run a lot of other individuals too.
That's true.
So, well, I want to thank both of you for taking the time to being here today. And can you just one more time say all the important information for the race?
It's May 30th, Saturday, May 30th, 7:30 is registration. Pre-registration is May 29th, 4 to 7. You can do packet pickup. So race day is May 30th. 8:30 is the 1 mile out and back. It's very short and easy. And 9 o'clock is the 5K. And it is fast and flat. It's going to be great.
All right.
Come on out.
So, Allison, Beth, thank you very much for
you.
taking the time.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And I can't change, even if I try, even if I wanted to. My love, my love, my love, she keeps me warm. 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 She keeps me warm.
We are neighbors and best friends.
I love my sister.
My heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Our family is no less than any other family.
Love is kind. Love is patient.
This is why you get by on 4 hours sleep. Why you took a second job. This is why you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing. And spend hours juggling the bills. This is why you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Now more options are available. Call 888-995-HOPE to talk one-on-one with a housing expert today.
And we're back for our last guest today, and that's Sheila Mahan. And Sheila, can you just take a second and describe what you do at Monadnock Developmental Services and what your title is?
Sure. I'm the project director. I run the Monadnock Center for Successful Transitions. We're a department at MDS, and our focus is on employment and training. Training for both individuals with disabilities, but also for professionals as to how to support somebody to get a job and be successful in a job. I also do some work with schools around transition and what schools need to be doing to really prepare students for that transition from high school into the workforce.
Why is employment so important for people with disabilities?
Because everybody has gifts, and everybody has talent, and everybody wants to give back to the community. I firmly believe that. Some people can walk off the street into a job, and some people need more support. But I don't know anybody who, well, think of it. When you go into a social situation, somebody asks you, what do you do? I don't know anybody who wants to say, hi, I'm a Social Security recipient. People want to work. They want to be a part of something bigger. They want a paycheck. They want coworkers. They want to feel productive. And so just like everybody else, folks with disabilities need to have that opportunity to work.
How many people does MDS work with at this point?
Well, about 2 years ago, the state started to take a look at what the employment statistics were through developmental services, and we recently got a report. Of the individuals that we're serving between the ages of 21 and 64, about 43% of those individuals are working.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, they're making around $825, $850, that's the average. And the hours range from people working full-time to people only working a couple hours a week.
So there's work to be done.
There's absolutely work to be done. But we've also seen numbers grow and increase.
Mm-hmm.
The recession hurt everybody, including folks with disabilities. So now that the job market is starting to pick up, we're seeing more jobs.
What type of jobs do people with disabilities do? I mean, I think that the community gets this picture in mind of a person with a disability is going to be somebody, and there are people that do bag groceries, that
Mm-hmm.
do collect the carts at it, but is there, what type of jobs and what are the typical hours?
Well, and that's one of the neat things, because just like the regular workforce, people like to do different things.
Mm-hmm.
So currently, in my department, we're working with individuals who are working in offices, doing filing and computer work. We have folks that work in retail. We have individuals who work in food service, but also work with a young woman who's an activities aide in a nursing home. Somebody that's a dog groomer working for a local company. We've worked with folks in manufacturing, in recycling, environmental services. Again, just like what everybody else would do, you're going to find people with disabilities in all those different sectors.
How do you go about finding the right fit for an individual? What's the, you want somebody to find a job where it's not over 2 weeks later, a month later, or even a year later. You want them to have some longevity in that job. So how do you go about finding that fit?
You have to know the individual.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know the individual, what their strengths are, their skills, their abilities, but also what kind of work environment works best for them. Are they a morning person or are they afternoon? Do they need to work with a team? Do they need to work independently? So really spending time to get to know somebody and what they're looking for work. And at the same time, working with employers for the same reason and understanding what their demands are. We always want to create a win-win, that the individual has the strengths and abilities to fit the needs of the employer, but the employer also benefits. And one of the benefits of working with an employment agency that works with folks with disabilities is that behind-the-scenes work is being done because we want it to be the right fit. Occasionally you hear employers say, oh, we tried that before and it didn't work. Well, it just means it wasn't the right person, it wasn't the right fit. Chris, I know, you and I have both hired a lot of staff, and we can look back and say, ooh, that person didn't work out, but it's because that person didn't work out. We would never say one group of people didn't work out. Instead, it's, all right, that person wasn't the right fit for the job. They didn't have what we were looking for, so now we need to find somebody else who does. So we use that same process.
And when you sit with somebody, do you meet with them, and do you have like some process that you go through to really identify their strengths and weaknesses? And with that, also, how do you, in this day and age, I believe one of the biggest struggles any employer has is soft skills. Having young people especially understand getting to work on time, coming to work appropriately dressed, following through with their tasks at their job. I mean, how do you identify what their needs are, and then how do you work with them to get them up to the level that they need to?
Well, there's a few different ways. One is spending time with the individual. We do have a variety of different tools that we use to get to know someone. It's important to get to know somebody, too, in different environments. I mean, I can have somebody come into the office and I can sit down with them and we can talk about jobs, but who they are when I then meet them downtown in a coffee shop and see who they know and how they deal with different environments, if it's really busy, if it's hard for them to stay focused, then I'm going to take that information and consider that when we look for a job for the person. We do have a program here in Keene called Project Search. Project Search is a national program. It started out of Cincinnati Children's Hospital. And it's a workforce immersion project in which you work with a local company and you have individuals with developmental disabilities there in the company. They learn the different skills of different departments, and that's a great way, too, to work on some of those soft skills that you were talking about. Helping people figure out how to work with a team. How do you problem solve when something doesn't go right? How do you ask for help? I mean, that's a really hard thing for a lot of folks to do.
Who's eligible for the program?
Project Search, well, right now here in Keene, we're partnering with Cheshire Medical Center, Dartmouth-Hitchcock Keene, Monadnock Developmental Services, Vocational Rehabilitation, and the Keene School District. So the four entities have come together under the guidance of the Cincinnati Project Search program.
That's where it originated from.
That's where it originated. And there's now over 200 sites here in the country. Here in New Hampshire, we are one of 5 sites.
Okay.
They're also international at this point, too.
Really?
Yeah, it's a very amazing
Are the other
program.
sites in New Hampshire finding success?
Yes. Yeah, we've all found success.
Are they all associated with hospitals?
At this point, yes. But the program has worked with other companies. There's actually a Project Search program in the Federal Department of Labor, for example. There's one at the Miami Zoo. I was at a conference. We had the opportunity to go on a tour there to see what their program. Banking institutions. There's a number of different places. But hospitals tend to be the most typical place where the program takes place, and that's where ours is here. So somebody who's in their last year of high school eligibility, who's 20 years old and still in high school, can apply for the program. The schools would pay the tuition for them to come, or we take adults up until their, say, early 40s.
We talked about who's eligible, but who makes a good candidate?
A good candidate is somebody who wants to work, who wants to gain skills, who wants to work with other people. There's not, for folks with developmental disabilities, there's not a lot of after high school training programs for them. So this is a great opportunity to get some additional vocational training. And actually, some of the employers that we've worked with have really liked the fact that people have gone through this program because they saw it as a desire to learn more skills, and that's helped some of the individuals get jobs. So they have to want to work, they have to be there on time, they need to show up every day dressed appropriately for the workforce. They need to have the supportive families around them. And that's really critical, whoever that family or support system may be, because none of us work in isolation. If we have a bad day at work, we need to go home and have folks support us. And likewise, if things at home aren't great, we want to know that we're going into work and we're going to have some supports around us.
Do they have, if they need special needs to support them in the situation, are they helped with that? Like transportation? If they are having a hard time being able to get there, because from my understanding, when they say we start at 8:30, you start at 8:30 or 8 o'clock, whatever it may be.
8 o'clock, we start. Transportation's always an issue. It's going to be. We live in a rural area. We have folks that come from as far as New Ipswich to Keene, we've had folks from Hinsdale, from Antrim, so all over. So we need to work with families around transportation. If you think about it, work doesn't get us to work. Our families and our supports get us to work. So we try to build upon whatever natural supports the individual has. Carpools. We had a situation a few years ago in which we had 3 individuals who were all coming from the same area, and they carpooled together. They worked out a way to figure out a driver to bring them over. In terms of learning different tasks, we find out how that person learns best, and then we develop training tools and tips to assist them. There's this wonderful thing called a pen friend, which has a little dot, and you're able to record directions onto that, and then with this special pen, you touch that, and it reads those directions to you. So we've had folks work in the mailroom at Cheshire Medical Center who do not read, but with the support of the pen friend, they're able to do their job.
So within the program, what internships do they do?
Oh, we've got a huge variety. We're in the mailroom and medical records. We've worked in oncology, orthopedics, physical therapy, both inpatient and outpatient. We've, over the years, had folks in the intensive care unit, the post-anesthesia care unit, women's health, pretty much all over. Laundry, delinting, environmental services. The hospital is a city unto itself and offers a wide variety of training options for folks. So a lot of the individuals who go through our program are not looking at working in a hospital environment. They look at where the skills they gain there will transfer over into a different environment. So we had a graduate of the program who's now working for a local dog groomer. She didn't learn that up there at the hospital, but she did learn how to work as a team, how to take direction, how to ask questions, how to problem solve. So we worked with her on those soft skills and then worked with a couple of local entities to give her some skills working with animals, and she was working, I believe, 15, 20 hours a week now and is doing fabulous. I actually heard recently a couple of her coworkers were out and she was running the back room on her own. So some amazing stories out there about people working.
Is there classroom time aside from the internships?
Yes, the Project Search program is very structured. There's a national curriculum that we follow that covers everything from, like we were saying, the soft skills, but also budgeting. What happens if you stay up too late and you don't eat well? We do a lot of practice around interview skills because the program runs according to the Keene School District calendar. So we graduate in June, so about a month from now. We'll have 6 people graduating from the program, and we're already looking for jobs for them. We have one person who had an interview last week and one person who was filling out an application and going for an interview later this week, hopefully.
And is it a certified teacher that's in the classroom?
Yes, so this is the collaboration. With the Keene School District, we have a certified special ed teacher. Students can come from anywhere. It doesn't matter what school district. Everything works through the Keene School District. So anything regarding the student's individual education plan, their IEP, and any of the supports that they may need, we work with their sending school through this special educator that we have.
If a parent has a child that's in school now, when is it that they should start the conversation about this program?
Well, I think they should be starting the conversation about employment early.
Early.
And doing chores at home is a great way to start to teach people responsibility so that they understand the give and take. They understand what it means to do a service and hopefully receive an allowance. So starting at a really young age. If somebody's looking at a program like Project Search, then I would say start the conversation when you're 19, apply when you're 20.
Schools seem to be, really looking at transitions over the last 10 years, more so than ever before. And it seems that they're looking at it at a younger age, at least starting the process.
Right.
Is that a good thing?
It's a great thing. It's a great thing for a variety of reasons. One, the earlier that we can identify a student's interests, when we can help build job skills for them, the better likely they are to get a job when they graduate. But the other piece is, as you know, funding is tight, and that there are individuals who are graduating from high school who do not have the support that they need once school ends. And so if we can build on work skills and we can get people working, there's a natural support system that we all have at work. Now, we work with a number of vendors and employers to figure out how to best support somebody, and that's a great service to offer too. But if we can help folks right from the beginning, you know, when they're 14 years old, to start thinking about what's going to happen when they're 21. And I know that sounds like a huge, you know, gap. And what I wanted to do at 14 and what I wanted to do at 21 were very different. But there's still some foundational skills that schools can be working on, and they do work on.
So when a student graduates in June,
Yeah.
is that then that are they on their own then? Does the program continue with them on some level? My concern would be if that in this market, well, especially the prior market when the economy went down, finding jobs must have been very competitive. And so do people lose the skill set if they don't have that continuation?
We continue working with people for as long as they want to work with us. So we are assisting folks with finding jobs, and it's part of that partnership with vocational rehabilitation. So based upon what the student or the graduate of the program or anyone who's looking for work that we may be working with, looking at, again, where they live, the types of jobs that are available in that area and what they want, and then providing them with the support to apply for the job, interview support, but then, yes, we will continue on helping them and the employer. Again, as I said earlier, it needs to be a win-win. We want to help that individual figure out how to do the job, and we want the employer to know that they have support. So should something change and now they're changing tasks and they want some assistance in figuring out how to retrain the individual. But I also want to remind you, nobody knows their job on the first day. You know, everybody needs support.
And when they do, it's a little concerning.
It is. It's very concerning. And sometimes it takes a week. Sometimes it takes a month. There are some jobs that take a year before you fully understand. And so just because somebody is coming in with job support doesn't mean that the employer's off the hook for providing somebody with support, but that we're there to augment that, to help figure out the best way to present information. You know, some people learn best by watching. Some you got to tell them. So because we know the individual, because we've worked with them for so long, and we've really gained an understanding of who they are and their strengths and abilities, we can work with the employer as to how to best support that individual to earn the job that they've, you know, applied for.
How is the state supporting, you know, the employment and really pushing the employment for individuals? Are there other programs out there that we haven't talked about today?
There's other programs in other parts of the state that are about job training. There's one over on the seacoast that works with a local hotel for folks to get hospitality training. Employment is a huge piece that the state is pushing because everybody, you know, sees the value in work, and when people work, there's a lot of studies out there that'll show you and tell you that people are happier and healthier. The state has actually been very supportive in regards to employment. There was a recognition a few years ago that when somebody's working, they may need some supports outside of work, such as transportation, but it could also be that somebody needs help figuring out lunch. And how do I make a nutritious lunch and bring that to work? Or how do I do my budgeting? Because now I have a paycheck and I don't know what to do with it. And working with the Social Security and understanding their benefits. So when the supported employment rules and regulations changed a few years ago, they actually expanded the scope of services that we can provide. So really looking at the full picture around employment.
So is there other things within your department right now that you're doing to support employment? I know that you're taking on, aside from Project Search, you're taking on some other supportive employment
Yes.
jobs.
Yep, we are working with other individuals who have either gotten jobs on their own or who are looking for jobs. And so what we've learned through our Project Search program, we're able to apply in these other situations, people who aren't going through the training program, but looking at them, figuring out who they are. We've had some success at times, too, working with local nonprofits and really doing very targeted, specific volunteer jobs. That's allowed somebody to gain skills. so that they then can take those skills. And we've had success with this, in which, because we've worked very closely with the nonprofit on identifying the skills somebody's going to learn, just kind of like what we do with search, that we've then been able to take that and find jobs for folks. We also, there's a job training program for professional staff to help them understand the dynamics of working with individuals and employers. So that's coordinated through our department too.
So if somebody was interested in joining Project Search, I'm guessing there's a class coming up, so you must be recruiting on it. What would
Yes.
what could somebody do?
To apply for the
Program.
they can contact me, and I can give them the application. The application looks at really helping us get a sense as to what type of work you would want to do, why the person is looking for employment. We want to know who the supports are in their lives, because again, if we don't have those, we find that it's not a good fit for folks. We have a very comprehensive interview process that folks go through, and we then make our selections.
Great. Well, Sheila, I want to thank you. And again, if you're interested, if you think you have someone that would like to join Project Search, contact Sheila Mahan through Monadnock Developmental Services, and you can reach her at 352-1304 and ask for Sheila, because I don't always remember the extensions. And I also want to thank Monadnock United Way for their support of our programming throughout the years. And I want you all to remember to give, to volunteer, and to advocate. I want to thank you again on behalf of Monadnock Developmental Services for your support, the community support. Have a great day.